I'll do that.
Are we live? Oh, now we can be seen. There's my good friend John
What's up, you guys?
Hey, and so you're on here. We need to make a quick announcement. Today's Periscope brought to you today by the Refresh Conference on the Ministry happening in Traverse City, Michigan on January 11th and 12th. Johnny D is going to be leading worship.
It's going to be awesome.
Are you excited about that?
I'm super excited.
Have you ever been to it before?
I've never been to one.
And you've never been married before.
But I am now. So
You are
there's
now.
that. So it's exciting. My wife's going to come with me.
That's so good.
Vacation.
And that's kind of the thinking. And that's not to say that single people shouldn't come.
Look at that beard.
Look at that beard. Oh, that's Manny.
Oh, I love you, Manny. I miss your face.
We do. I miss your face and your beard. Annie's got a good beard. You've got a good beard.
It's there. It's starting to come to a point.
I've been watching Manny on live streaming with when he's been preaching at his new church in Colorado. So, I do need some more hair product. I'm short on hair product today. I was trying something new. And I'm wearing my Alex P. Keaton tie.
That's a pretty sweet tie.
Thanks.
Can everybody see that tie? That's an amazing tie.
Yeah. And then over
Check
here,
that out.
there's Eva.
Hi.
All right, so today, talking about planning your calendar.
Yeah.
You know what I was wishing I could have brought to this?
What's that?
Was my old, remember how I used to use one of those old fold-out calendars? It didn't occur to me to bring that, but there are probably people, do you think there's anybody watching that still uses the analog style calendar?
The day planner.
Yeah, we still have.
You
we
keep
still
it
have
in
like
the
a
trapper
huge wall
keeper?
calendar.
We might have to go sideways today because there's so many
I
people.
love you all dearly, but I need
Hey,
to go.
bud, we love
Bye,
you.
guys.
Hey,
Talk
dog
at you
sitting.
later.
Yes. We'll make that happen.
Sure thing.
So let's try
Hey.
and get at even depth here, Eva,
Yeah,
so that we
sure.
can both be on camera.
Should I get a booster seat so I'm the same height as you? That's what they do for debates, you know.
Here, scoot over a little further.
Okay.
See, what people can't see is that there's all these crazy Christmas ornaments
Just bring them closer
in
to us.
on the desk in front of us. So
Wear them around you.
that's just
Trade
what
them out
we're
for your
working with
tie.
today. Hey, I don't want this to take a long time,
Yeah.
but I know that I am one of those that.
It's nice to be with you
It's
again,
good to
by
see
the
you.
way.
It's good to see you. Let me introduce Eva real quick. She serves as the administrative assistant, the main administrative assistant in the children's department here at Mount Hope Church.
Yeah.
And that is a new development.
That's new,
Because
yep.
for how many years were you in the youth department?
Gosh, it was like since I was 17 in leadership, and now I'm 26, so 9 years.
Yeah, and focusing,
time.
and during that entire time, focusing on administrative organizational.
Yeah, for the most part. Yep.
Organizational leadership.
Yeah, helping Renee Berry extraordinaire.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when Pastor Kevin
She's
was
the one
there.
I learned everything from.
Well, today we wanted to help youth pastors with their planning because Eva has always helped me with my planning, and kind of kept me focused, kept me on target with getting things done on time. And there's just some real simple things that people can do to do their 2016 planning. If you haven't done it already, that's who this Periscope is for.
Yeah.
Because people that have already done it, you probably know all the things we're going to say today anyway.
Right.
You might pick up a few nuggets along the way, but if you're a highly organized person, you probably had it planned last summer.
Right. Yep.
Personally, as a youth pastor, I didn't have things planned that far out. But I eventually got to the place where I was planning the entire year in advance. There were holes that I would fill in as we would go on.
The major events were always scheduled out pretty far ahead.
Yeah, in fact, I asked you to make some bullet points
Yeah.
on what you thought were the best.
I did.
I made some bullet points. You can look at mine there. I'm going to show people what my bullet points are because I know some people can't stay on for the whole Periscope, and some can't for the whole thing. There's my notes. That's what I'm going to be talking about today. See how simple mine are? See, and somebody just screen captured that. Oh, a couple people are screen capturing. Yeah, feel free to screen capture that. Also, on the YouTube recording of this, I will provide that as well. Oh, some more. Does anybody else need to screen capture that? All right, so there's our outline for today. If you need to go and you just want to take the notes and go, there you go. If you want to stay and hang out with us for a little bit, I think this will be fun to talk about. And there are Eva's. There's Eva's outline. My hand's in the way. Are people screen capturing that one?
I'm not sure. Yep, I see it.
Okay.
Look at all those hearts.
Yeah, it's because you're so organized. So we might toggle back and forth between these two. There's Abigail just joined.
Hey, Abs.
So we're going to toggle between these two. Is my hand too shaky? This is my first Periscope with my new phone. So I'm going to...
That looks like fun.
It is.
Good for
Also
you.
known as... How do I get it turned around there? There we go.
Yeah.
Also known as the mini iPad mini.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, I went back to my little one. I was like, what is this little thing? Yeah.
Yeah, somebody gave me their iPhone 5S last night to type in my information, and I held it in my hand, and it was
You need
like,
a toothpick.
yeah, I was like, oh, this is precious. It's like a phone for an action figure. So
Yeah. So
I have a tripod for that thing, but I you notice I've got it clipped to my computer. People can't
like
see that,
that.
but anyway.
Okay,
Okay,
yeah.
but let's get right down to this. We already shared the outline, so if people have questions already, you can fire those questions. That's one of the reasons I got the 6+ is so that I could actually read what people are saying during these periscopes, because they're hard to read. And you notice my first thing, some people already noticed it. Did everybody notice what my number 1 was?
Get a calendar.
Get a calendar. Right?
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah, you're so right. There's so many times there's like, I didn't have it. Just put it in your
I know.
Get a calendar and put it in there.
And she and I have worked a lot with young adults, as most youth pastors do, because it's the nature of youth ministry. Young adults like hanging out with the teenagers, and they're good hanging out with the teenagers. But how many times have you been working with a young adult? You'll say, hey, can you be there Thursday at 3 o'clock? And they'll say something like, maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't
know.
Thursday.
I don't know what I'm going to be doing. Get a stinking calendar.
It's so easy.
It's so easy.
Old cell phones could do it.
Old cell phones can do it. I use my calendar on my phone. I've got iCloud linked to my computer.
Yep.
If you can do that and share I've got it linked to my administrative assistant's computer, my new administrative assistant, Eva Wrightsman, which I would have loved to have her on today. She's on vacation.
Good for her.
Good for her.
Good for her. I bet she planned that.
Yeah. Yeah, she does. She likes having the holiday time off, which is wisdom. See, she's a good planner.
She's a good planner.
So first thing is get a calendar. Number 1, get a calendar. Eva is the best. That's what IBL says.
I love you, Abs.
Number 2, fill in your master calendar items first.
Yeah.
So your church, your organization, your boss, whoever has some master calendar items, you should fill those in first, and then you'll be amazed at how quickly your dates get eaten up.
Oh my gosh.
So when it comes
so
time,
fast, especially if you have 2 services a week.
because my problem is I'll get like an idea, because I'm an idea person. I'm not really a planner. I have become a planner out of necessity, but by nature, I like being creative. I like doing fun things. I like doing things that get me stoked, get me excited, get other people excited. And the problem is a lot of times I'll have those ideas and I won't know when to do them. I'll just be like, I don't know, we'll do it sometime, and then it never happens. But what helped me was fill in all the master calendar items first, and then you're really not even left with much.
Right.
Now there's still some, so like I would say my guiding philosophy with filling out my calendar for the whole year is just look for openings.
Yeah.
And so the guiding premise there is fill in the stuff that has to be there first, and you'll be amazed at how little space is left.
Right, right.
And then and then it becomes obvious where your brilliant ideas should go if you're a creative person. Now, if you're not a creative person, this will help facilitate and help you be more creative. Okay, so number 2, fill in your calendar items. Your master calendar items. And then number 3, this one's a little longer, and I wrote down all the obvious dates I could think of.
Yep.
But that was the point, was number 3, fill in your obvious dates.
Yeah.
So for us,
especially you especially want to make
I'm
sure
gonna
that
shut
they're
that door.
Sure. You especially want to make sure that everything that you're putting on your calendar facilitates your goals and your vision, because if it's not, then you're just putting a lot of energy and a lot of time into something that is not benefiting you and the goals and the vision that God gave you or the senior leader on your team. So some obvious things, you want your camps for Holo. If you have a retreat, we always did a couple retreats a year. So if that's something that you do, do you want to go through them? You want me to go through them?
Well, I just put ours. We always did March Madness, which is our big spring evangelism. That's invite your friends. That's give away prizes. That's pull out all the creative games that you need, a lot of resources to do. If you've got a budget, that's where we would spend a big chunk of our money. Because some years we had money, other years we didn't.
Someone asked, what's an obvious date?
An obvious date.
An obvious date or event, I think those are the things that we're rattling off right now.
I think those are the samples are camp for youth ministry. It's camp. It's your evangelistic outreaches, your creative stuff that you do throughout the year. We did 2 a year.
Yeah.
March Madness during March, and then in the fall we did October Chaos, which was our back to school momentum builder. Another obvious date is winter camp. Another obvious date is if your group does Fine Arts Festival. That's an obvious one. The obvious dates are the things you do every year. That are, I love the questions. They're the things you do every year that are part of your church culture or your youth ministry culture that are just things that are obvious. Kind of everybody who's been there for a while knows what they
those
are.
Things aren't coming up. Yeah.
But the thing about obvious dates is they're not obvious to new people.
Right.
So
that's why you gotta have good marketing.
True.
Good marketing.
True. So spring break for us was a big one because we always took our student leaders to Florida during spring break. Are you talking about my long hair, Abigail?
Or mine.
I asked Abigail if she could cut my hair today, actually. She's working. What are you doing watching Periscope while you're working?
Ooh,
Just kidding. Just kidding. No.
She's probably on break.
I think she's doing some childcare today, so it's nap time for the little nuggets probably. And then another big one for us was summer discipleship. We always did a summer discipleship plan. If you're going to do an AIM trip, that's an obvious one. So there's some examples of obvious ones. So number one was get a calendar. Number two was fill in your items from your church's master calendar. Number three is fill in your obvious dates, the stuff you do every year. And then frankly, you're not left with much after that.
Yeah, right. Especially, and if your church or organization really wants to get involved in the community, then you want to take a look at what's happening in your
Community
schools, football games. We have like a family event that happens at a park nearby every year, adult to middle.
Yeah.
So if that's something that you guys want to do, then you want to make sure that you pull that out too.
Get all that on there, and then for me, then it's time to start thinking about preaching series.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you say to me, "Hey, I need you to plan your preaching series for a year," I go, "That's 52 sermons. I don't know how to do that." Well, for starters, I think you need to think in terms of teaching series. You want to do a series on something, and I have a couple of reasons for that. One, sometimes it takes a while to unpack certain themes. Two, most of the time you have to say things 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times before teenagers hear it anyway. So let me talk about preaching things for just a second. The natural, and then you fill in the natural preaching themes.
Yeah.
So help me think of what the natural preaching
Like
themes
back
are.
to school.
Evangelism.
Yep.
So you need, and I would say you need to do that the month before school begins.
Yeah.
Talk about it, and maybe the first few weeks while school is happening.
Easter.
Holidays. That's more evangelism, more outreach. Invite your friends.
January.
Holiday
Easter.
messages.
Yep.
Good one.
Yep.
Jason Buchanan from Otisville. What else did I write down? So in February, a lot of people like to do, that's when they like to do their dating series.
Yep, purity series.
So in March, remember we said we always did big games, big giveaways, big prizes during March. Now that would be a fun theme that you want to do for new people who are coming, something engaging, something relevant, something clever. And then immediately after that, you want to segue to something relevant. I'm trying to think of the different things that we do. One of the things that I always liked doing right after a big outreach month that I felt like was relevant was, help me remember the name, when we would have different people speak every week.
Face in the crowd.
Face in the crowd. And so for us, face in the crowd was different leaders would share their story.
Personal testimonies. Yeah.
And what a great thing for a new believer to hear.
Some of our sharp students too.
Yeah, some of our sharper students would get to speak during that series too, and they would get to hear the cool thing. Yeah, face in the crowd. That's actually a Jerome Veerling idea.
Yeah.
And I loved it. We did it every year for several years in a row. It is great follow-up to an evangelistic month. And then they get to hear, oh, I'm a new Jesus follower, and I get to hear the stories from all these other new Jesus followers. So then you notice, again, it starts filling up. I would say the weeks leading up to camp. Now, in our Assemblies of God culture, that is a time when you really need to teach on the baptism of the Holy Spirit. I mean, how many youth pastors go to camp and then they get frustrated because their students aren't ready to understand the teaching on something like the baptism of the Holy Spirit or divine healing, and there are these meatier subjects that they're going, I don't even know if I believe this. I don't even know if my kids I don't know how to teach it. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then my kids are asking questions I don't know the answer to. Well, if you would prepare before you go to that camp, again, in the Assemblies of God culture, there's going to be stuff on the baptism of the Holy Spirit. It's going to be stuff on Pentecost. There's, in all likelihood, going to be stuff on divine healing. There's going to be stuff on demonstrative, expressive, charismatic worship. So you could teach on that leading up to camp. So that can fill in another 2, 3, maybe even 4-week block of your preaching schedule.
If you have a certain theme for a retreat that's coming up, sometimes we would keep it secret and then reveal it, but other times we prep them and kind of wet their whistle, let them know what the theme was, and then taught on that a little bit. So when you get to camp, it's not let's teach this. It's kind of the culmination of everything that's been taught.
Or either before or after. I would do a whole month on whatever that series is. Because for one, if you're like winter camp, we would come up with a theme. You're going to do T-shirts, you're going to do graphics, you're going to do flyers, you're doing all this work, posters. Right. You might as well get some more bang for your buck out of that theme. So either teach on it before, like you said, sometimes we would teach on it and then it would culminate in retreat, or you would announce it, then you would go to retreat, you would announce the theme, and then come back and teach on it. And that's a great follow-up to your camp too.
We also did summer nights. Every Wednesday in summer there was something fun. So we actually grew during the summer, which a lot of youth ministries, I know people go away for vacation, especially in Michigan. But
when we were intentional about doing outreach services every week during the summer, it takes a lot out of you. That was one of the year that we started that. I remember our budget was a little healthier than other years, and we were able to do a fun giveaway every week. We were able to have food every week, and then even when we didn't have money, we found ways to make that happen just cheaper. Yeah. Or if not free. So
a lot of costume parties for people who have low budget.
So that was all I had.
Yeah.
What do you got over there?
Well, I'm just a little bit more the practical.
Yes.
You know, he's visionary, got the ideas, and I'm the one who takes it and kind of puts it.
Thanks for calling me visionary.
Yeah, absolutely, you are a visionary. Always thought that of you, always. So you guys, if you didn't take a screenshot of it earlier, then you can get those from Pastor Josh later. Just some of the planning elements that go into creating a really big event, especially the ones that are your annual ones that they happen all the time, starting out 12 to 24 months for big ones, like confirming dates. Do you want me to read all this? There's a lot to go through. Okay.
Well, I was hoping you would do more than just read it.
Yeah. So confirming dates and making sure that, it's fun if you want to plan an event, and you say it's going to be at a place, but if you don't have the place booked, if you don't have the rental, we've run into not having rental equipment before,
We've had buses not show up. Would now be a good time to add, I think a lot of youth pastors will watch this and be like, that's good for you, Wellborn. You had a full-time administrative helper. You know what? It was only the last 6 years of youth ministry that I had that.
Yeah.
And I've been doing this 14 years. So the bulk of it, I did not have a full-time
There's plenty of things
helper.
that I learned from, things that you did all the time.
Well, before, when I didn't have help, these were the things I had to do on my own because I don't have a natural bend toward administration. I had to just muscle through it the same way you muscle through a class in school that's difficult for you, whether, if you're not a math person, sometimes you just got to get through it. And that's how I felt about administration. And then, of course, now that I'm able to have
and that's
helpers.
when you leverage, your key leaders.
Yeah.
I'm glad you appreciate this. So hopefully it's just helping a lot of other people out there. So then, you confirm all of your stuff, you get that out there, and then it gets down to, really if you're going to...
12, 24 months.
12 to 24 months.
You're talking confirmations, making sure you have the venue, making sure you got bus rentals.
Yeah. Tech rentals,
you're not even
guest speaker.
You're not even worrying about themes at this point.
Oh no, not yet, right. Not even close. 8 to 12 months.
Guest speakers, that's a big one.
That's huge.
People wonder how some churches get really good guest speakers. It's because they ask them really, really far in advance.
Very, 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 very far in advance. Yep. 8 to 12 months out. That's when you have a meeting. If you're doing a collaborative effort with other youth pastors in the area, other leaders. If you're going to do something with the community, that's when you bring them in. You talk about what the vision is for that specific event. Keeping in mind your overall vision for the whole organization.
And for those who don't have full-time help, this is when you would build your team.
Yeah. Yep.
8 to 12 months out.
Yeah, that's so good. And then that's when you decide, you create a logo or create some graphic material that's going to promote the event, obviously keeping your audience in mind. If it's going to be something for adults, keep it relevant. You're not going to have a cartoon if it's for an adult, vice versa for children, things like that.
You know what else? Another little nugget that people might like?
Go for it.
Eva's a really good graphic designer, so she would design all of our stuff original. But before that, a lot of times I would Google the phrase of whatever my theme was, and a lot of times I could find artwork online that someone else had already created, and I would just steal it. And of course, I'm not using it to make money or anything like that. And so, in terms of ethics, I think you're okay doing that. Once you start, commercializing, monetizing it, then you're in trouble. But
something else that you taught me is to go to, we did a lot of things with teens. So we would go to the teen clothing sites and see what are they doing, what looks good. I would always go to stock photo
sites to get
sites.
Design ideas.
Yeah, to get design ideas and things like that. So, and especially like going to stock like Shutterstock or Deposit Photos or something like that keeps you just kind of on the trendy side of the graphic design.
And if you really are not a designer, you don't know anybody that knows how to do design, just use the theme that they're already using at American Eagle or Hollister,
Yeah.
if it's a relevant
Yeah.
theme. Because I know, like, American Eagle for a while, their theme was Live Your Life. And I always thought, man, we should just steal that artwork
Yeah.
and do a sermon series called Live Your Life.
Someone told me you're not going to get in trouble until you start making more than your apostle.
Yeah.
So you're all right
That's
with
really
that.
funny.
And then that's when you really come up with your marketing plan. And I wanted to just take a little bit more
please.
time and talk about that. Obviously, when you get closer to the date, that's when you start pushing out all of your marketing material. But how do you come up with a marketing plan? Things that you want to keep in mind. About a year in advance is when you want to start announcing for the first time what the event is. If it's an annual thing, it's great to have save the date cards. So if you do something a back to school retreat, then you have a save the date at the end of that retreat, so they're already thinking of the next one because their momentum's already there. They're already bought in because they enjoyed camp or that weekend event already. So it's going to be a great buy-in there. And then about 6 months out is when you really want to make sure that if you're doing something for teens, the parents are involved. If it's not on the parents' calendar up front, then you might have a little bit more traction if it is on the parents' calendar.
Always get it on the parents' calendar.
Yeah, they have to know because you're.
I would recommend sending that at the beginning of the year, just a postcard with
Oh yeah,
all
the
your,
whole year. Yeah, we've done that. Or if you only have like the fall or the spring or something.
Or whatever
something.
you have.
Sure. Yeah.
If you can have your whole year on a postcard for parents at the beginning of the year, get it out. Because now, as a parent, we got to fill that stuff in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because our schedules get busy just as much as a church schedule does. And then as it gets closer, these are some of the things that I learned from this guy here. So good.
I don't have to say that.
No, but I did. There's so many things I learned from you. I gotta give credit where credit is due. As soon as you have your print material in hand, get it out as much time as you can before the event. Not so much time that they're going to forget about it, throw it away, but just, kind of got to find that sweet spot. But as soon as you can, get that marketing material out the door, get it in people's hands, get it in front of their face. You can T-shirts, flyers, brochures in the mail, graphics on the screen.
I also think, when I hear somebody like you say marketing material, myself 10 years ago, that would have been overwhelming to me. I'd be like, oh, marketing material?
Yeah.
So if that's you, just photocopy something.
Yeah.
Like write it with a Sharpie.
Sure.
And photocopy it and hand it out.
Yeah.
That's marketing material.
If you're low on budget, one of the things that we used to do is just get a black and white photo, Word document, clip art, whatever, and then copy it onto colored paper, and that way they're still getting color in their hand, but then you're not spending money on the colored ink, which that saves some money there. Make sure you're getting it on social media. We would always ask our leaders change their profile picture so that everybody has the logo of what's going on. Look at that.
That's an example of one of my early somebody's texting. Oh, I'm getting all kinds of updates. That's one of my examples of early marketing material. I literally photocopied my face. And you can't read that, but those little white strips, those have just information. This was my radio show when I was a younger guy, and when I was in my 20s. And those little white strips just have information about my show on it. That's an example of what you can do if you're not a Photoshop person. This is literal cut and paste.
Yeah.
Literally, I was cutting and then pasting it. Yeah, that was a lot of black ink.
Still cheaper than color.
It's a lot of toner.
Yeah. The other thing, if you're not printing for whatever reason, social media is going to be your biggest friend. That's where the students are all the time. So more than even something in hand, getting it out there on social media. Like I said, changing profile pictures so all of your leaders have the same image. It's going to create a buzz that there's something new going on, something that a lot of people are involved in and they want to get involved too. It's really easy to take 15-second video clips of maybe the past event, that similar post those on Instagram. Those are really going to catch people's eye.
And probably, if you're watching on Periscope, you're probably pretty good with social media. Otherwise, you wouldn't be on here in the first place.
Yep. Yeah, scheduling out posts on Facebook. I know that you can do that there, things like that. And then phone blitzing.
Yes, phone blitzing.
Phone blitzing was huge. I mean, you'd call about
Explain
40.
what phone blitzing is.
Okay, so you get everybody on your database, because we all love databases in this world, and get everyone's contact information that you can in your event, and you just start calling anyone who's not signed up. You just start cold calling people. It's not really cold calling because you know them.
And it's people that have attended your church before.
So it's not so much cold calling, but just get on the phone and just say, hey, I wanted to make sure that you're not missing out. Do you need more time to get your money in? Talk about, what's going on with your schedule. Sometimes it's like, well, I don't know. I haven't asked my mom or dad yet. That's when you say, well, let's go ask them right now.
Yeah. And talking on the phone is so novel anymore.
Yeah.
Nobody talks on the phone anymore.
Right. But it works. I mean, we've had people call in a list of 20 people and get 3-4 more people signed up for an event.
And if you're a youth pastor and you're doing an event that costs, let's say, $30, 3 or 4 more people, I mean, that's another $90 or $120 to go towards your budget to either, 1, break even, or 2, build a cushion for your next event that might lose money. So those extra 20 phone calls, and 20 phone calls is a lot. And for us, you're being nice. We would make, our database, just to put it in perspective, was 4 times the size of our normal attendance. So if your youth ministry is 50 people, you might have to make, 200?
Yeah.
You might have to make 200 phone calls.
We would make phone calls for a week.
It's significant.
With 3, 4, 5 people
come in
the room.
Volunteer, they're huge.
Who are good, have good personalities on the phone. You don't want to get people who are not excited about your event on the phone because they're not going to promote it the way that you'd want.
I remember there would be people making phone calls outside of my office, calling people, inviting them to church. And I would just go out and stop them and be like, oh my word, if you invited me to church, I would never come.
But that's a great discipleship training opportunity.
It's a teaching moment.
It is a great teaching moment. Take them.
But then there were others that were amazing. They made me want to be a visitor for the first time.
And they love doing it. You can tell. So
that's phone blitzing.
Yep, phone blitzing. That's the most of what I had.
Anything else specific to the calendar planning process? I think the main things I want people to walk away with is fill in the obvious stuff, fill in the big stuff.
Yeah.
And then with your preaching calendar, do the exact same thing. If it's an evangelistic season, you need to prepare your people in advance for how to share their faith with people.
Yeah.
If it is a discipleship season, for us, my whole summer teaching series would be about discipleship, and there would be one theme. For example, one summer that I'm thinking of, it was called Called to Serve. And so every week we would talk about how you can serve, and then we would add serving opportunities. And then August is when I would start talking about evangelism, how to talk to your friends about Jesus, how to invite people to church. And then September, we would promote nonstop what we were going to be doing in October.
Right.
Then after October, you're basically in November. So it's time to start thinking about Thanksgiving holiday series, whatever your Thanksgiving holiday series is. Then in January, I would introduce our new theme for winter camp, which took place in February. So January, I'm preaching the theme that I'm going to, that they're all going to see in February. And so then after February, I want something relevant that's going to hook people that have been excited. So that would be a great place to insert one of those creative ideas that you have. Because I know youth pastors, they get creative ideas, they're not sure where to use them. Do it after one of your big events to kind of hook people and bring them back. Well, then we're getting close to April. Well, then we're actually, March, or I'm sorry,
Easter time.
I kind of skipped over February. February, I would always do 2 or 3 weeks on dating. And then March would be all about leading up to your Easter outreach. So now you're, and for us, we did big events in March. And so leading up to Easter, in the month of March, we're giving away prizes. We're telling kids to invite their friends. And then after that, again, another one of those creative hooks that's something relevant, something teenagers would like, something that, that makes youth ministry fun. And there's really only about 2 of those that you can do a year.
Yeah.
So you'd put that, one in the fall, one in the spring. And then after that, where are we now?
In the fall, we're back to where we were before.
And then we would do, I mentioned the idea, I'm moving forward in March. Then I mentioned the idea a moment ago that after March, we would do Face in the Crowd.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is where people would share their testimonies, a different speaker every week. With kids in school, when is a good time to call from your past experience? With kids in school, when is a good time to call from your past experiences?
Not sure what that means exactly.
I don't think I know what that means. I do know, I'm going to assume that it has something to do with, like, when's a good time to share your past experiences of when you were in school? Maybe?
For phone blitzing.
Oh, was that a phone blitzing question?
So are you asking if you have kids who are in school, when do you call them during the day? Call them right after school?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We would actually have students
And we would
call
have students come. Oh, right.
Students call students.
Guy students call guy students. Girls,
After school.
Yep, they would come in right after school. Sometimes
Yeah.
we'd have pizza for them.
Yeah.
Give them an incentive to, and they would just call for about an hour, and they would get in
3-4 o'clock, whatever time they come after school.
then have some pizza and then hang out. Sometimes I'd have a couple girls come over to my house afterwards too, so it wasn't just, work for us, and then
Yeah, no, you got to make it fun.
Yeah,
Got to
absolutely.
make it fun. If it's not fun, they're not going to keep doing it. That's a good question.
Yeah, and make sure that when you're thinking about your preaching schedule, talk about, or your teaching series, think about your preaching schedule, and if you're taking any personal time off, that'd be a great time to start thinking about who's going to fill in those dates too.
And in my calendar, I would block off the entire month as whatever that series was. And then when I would think of a series idea, because sometimes a preacher that I'm listening to, Stephen Furtick or Andy Stanley or one of your favorite podcast people, they'll say something, you'll think, oh man, that'd be a great series. Just write it down on your phone, come back to this process, insert it somewhere. And Eva knows this. She would ask me on the last, because we would have our staff meetings on Tuesday. And then she would ask me on Tuesday, hey, what are you preaching tomorrow night for the new series that she'd already done the artwork for? And it wasn't unusual for me to say, I don't know, I've got 3 or 4 different ideas, I'm not sure. So I'm making it sound like I'm really organized. I still had those moments where I would write my sermon the day of, but I already had a plan for what it was going to be. And I'd been I make notes all the time for my messages. It might be during my personal prayer time. It might be during a study time. It might be just randomly
I think you'd have more
driving.
things on your list than you'd ever have time to preach.
Always. There was always more stuff. So when it came time to writing sermons, for me, it was more about curating my ideas and arranging them in a way that made sense. I say that to be an encouragement to those of you who are saying, man, it's Tuesday. I don't know what I'm going to be preaching tomorrow night. Figure out what your series are. That way, if you are in the habit of writing the message on Tuesday or Wednesday before you speak, at least you have some guiding principles to start funneling it down. That way, I'm holding this. This is a tripod, by the way. I need to put that away. That way, at least you've got something that is a guiding principle. So it's not like on Tuesday you're going, well, man, maybe I'll preach from Romans chapter 6 because we memorized that when I was a in discipleship class when I was a junior in high school. So that's my advice on the teaching series. Any other questions about that? I'll give you a second to type if you're thinking of stuff.
Make sure that you're looking ahead in your calendar constantly, because if you've got a big event coming up 6 months from now, you need to be doing something about it today. And sometimes those old-fashioned paper calendars are going to be your best friend. You've got the whole wall calendar, the dry erase marker. Those are great. I'd never tell someone to stop doing that and go digital.
Used it for years.
Still use it today, because if you're looking at the whole, just a whole picture, start planning this, 6 months, 6 months ahead, something like that.
I always use the paper one because I never had a laptop.
Yeah, even with a laptop though, really, even with
now,
a laptop,
a
big paper one or a big wall one that we'd get. We have one of those in my new department. But anything or reminders, be super diligent and disciplined in setting a reminder before the event, 6 months out, 8 months out, whatever your timeline is.
It says my scope just ended. Somebody texted that to me, so I don't know if people are still on here or not. But we'll wrap it up now.
Sure.
And anything else?
They're joined.
Yeah, I see people on here. So somebody got kicked off apparently. Somebody just texted me. I can't quite tell who it is.
Maybe you blocked them on accident.
You think I accidentally blocked? I bet I accidentally blocked somebody.
Sorry.
That happened to me earlier too. All right, that's it. Any other questions? If there's no other questions, then we'll wrap this one up. I'll put this on YouTube. I will copy and paste the notes into the YouTube description. So for those of you that like,
post my email too, and that way if people have more specific admin questions, I can shoot those over. One question. Go for it.
Jeff Westheim.
Who's that? Hi, Jeff Westheim.
He's the youth pastor in West Branch, Michigan.
Nice.
He's got a mighty beard.
Does he?
Unless he shaved it.
A lot of people with cool beards.
You're awesome.
Oh, thanks.
That's that guy Jordan. Hey, they just announced Jordan the other night, new youth pastor in Charlotte at Redline.
Nice. Congratulations.
How far out do you prep the meat of your message? You did shave? I thought you did. How far out do I plan the meat of my message? I understand what you're asking. For me, I used to try and be so organized with my sermon writing that it resulted in what I felt like were lousy messages, because I was trying to be so organized what I found was if I would just let my messages come from my own personal secret place,
So good.
my own time with Jesus,
So good.
it just felt so much better and it was easier. So when do I plan my meet? Honestly, it's when I'm spending time with the Lord.
So good.
But then, and if by meet do you mean study content or what does this word mean in the Greek? Obviously, I didn't find that in my time with the Lord. That sermon prep time for me, it was always either again when I'm praying or Thursdays. Like, because Thursday there just isn't much. There was not much going on at the office, not too many distractions. I didn't feel
meetings.
Yeah, having been up late the night before, I didn't feel like getting out and doing stuff. So that's when I would look at a book or study or read a blog or listen to a podcast. So if by meet you mean spiritual meet, well, that would happen during my prayer time. If you mean meet by like cognitive, stuff that you think about, well, if you plan a series 12 months out, what are you doing 3 months out, 1 month out, 1 week out? Yeah.
Something that you did.
Well, those are the sermons, though.
Yeah.
Like for me, sermons and series are two totally different things. I would plan the series a year out. Sometimes it was even just 3 months out.
It's real easy to tie in a message into any kind of series. Something that you said, would always just, you can use the phrase of the series in your message. So if you don't know what your message is a week from now, but you know what series you're in, you're spending time with Jesus, it's pretty easy to tie it, Bible, Jesus, God, right? It'll tie in. It will. So sometimes it's a little bit of a creative phrase or something.
So to answer your question, 3 weeks out, 2 weeks out, 1 week out, 1 day out, I'm writing sermons. I mean, as youth pastor, I'm always writing sermons. And that's been, with this new job, that's been really weird for me, is that I'm not always writing sermons. But it's freed me up to do all kinds of other things, like these periscopes, like meeting with you. I've been meeting with youth pastors nonstop, which is a blast.
Awesome.
Love doing that. So if we haven't met yet, message me. Let's set up a time and connect. I got to get up. I think I'm coming up to West Branch on the 21st of January, I think. Anything else? Can you think of anything else?
Love Jesus.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, thanks for tuning in. Just curious how I do it. Yeah. I hope that helps. I hope I answered that straight. I wasn't trying to.
And it'll be different for everybody.
It'll be different for everybody.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. I always write my messages on computer. Like a lot of guys like to write them in journal. I can't do that. I got to write it on the computer. It would start in my iPhone.
Yep.
Like the notes in my phone. In fact, I can show you because I've got my old phone here. The notes in my phone, literally, I think I had I think I still have it on here, a file called Sermon Ideas. And sometimes, sometimes you just get inspired, and I would write a whole sermon outline on my phone and be like, wow, thank you, Lord. And
that's also where you would write down a lot of your ideas for, like, your impact nights. That's what we would call them, impact nights. And, we did roller skater night, we've done circus nights, we've done mustache nights, everything during the summer nights theme, laser tag.
So this was, the last time this was updated was in March of 2014. This is my old phone. And so here's some sermon ideas. And I never did these.
I remember those.
We did one of them.
Yeah.
The three that are in this file right here, I don't know if you'll be able to read it or not.
Oh,
There's the three that were in that. I don't know if Jeff's still on here. But Ghost Hunters was one of them. Walking Dead. Oh, that's reversed on there, isn't it? Can people even read that? Me, My Selfie, and I. And of those three ideas, all I did was Me, My Selfie, and I. Ghost Hunters and Walking Dead, those were going to be October Halloween type series, outreach things. And I don't know, when it came down to it, I didn't want to do the whole Walking Dead thing. And the Ghost Hunters thing was weird, so... Sometimes you have ideas that you don't like. All right, hey, that's it. We only have 3 viewers left. Everybody's starting to leave the room. Check it out on YouTube. Share it, like it, follow it. Catch you later.